This is Thistlewood Manor, bumped by a dame and Eliza Montagu Cozy Mystery, Book 6, written by Fiona Grace, read by Amelia. Prologue. "Be patient, boy," Eliza said to her dog, Scout, who tugged impatiently at the leash she'd tied to a nearby magnolia tree. It was a beautiful spot. The magnolias were in full bloom, and its full branches provided just the right amount of shade on this warm spring morning. She'd hoped he'd be willing to settle in there, perhaps curl up and take a nap, and she'd done her best to create the right conditions for that to happen. She'd taken him on a run through the garden that morning, stopping frequently enough so that he could smell anything his little hound heart desired, but also making sure to cover enough ground to get him knackered. He'd tolerated Eliza's idea that they take a break for a bit, but he'd tired of that quickly. In Eliza's defence, this process was taking far longer than she'd expected. If she'd realised it was going to take this long, she would have brought him back inside the house first. The unexpected slowness of the process was, Eliza suspected, a direct result of her lack of experience with gardening. Growing up, she'd loved being outdoors, and she'd been even keener on any excuse to get dirty, so gardening should have been a natural fit for her. The problem was it was one of her mother's favourite pastimes, a fondness Lady Montagu shared with Eliza's great-aunt Martha, and since Eliza had historically found time spent with both of them tedious at best, and fraught at worst, and since she was inherently resistant to anything she thought might lead them to believe they were successfully domesticating her, she'd allowed gardening to remain firmly in their domain. The sudden decision to try her hand at it now was a result of great-aunt Martha's passing a few weeks prior. Though their relationship had often been strained, just before her death, great-aunt Martha had called Eliza in and offered her unexpected words of encouragement. For the first time in her life, great-aunt Martha didn't balk at Eliza's moxie. Instead, she confessed to admiring it. It had come as an absolute shock to Eliza, as had great-aunt Martha's rallying cry, that Eliza continue in her passionate pursuit of the life she desired, instead of just settling for the life that had been planned for her. It had also caused Eliza to suddenly feel overwhelmed with a great deal of fondness for her. And now that she was gone, Eliza found herself wanting to find some way to honour both her and that, which is how she landed here in the garden, desperately trying to figure out the best way to plant a gardenia bush. Gardenias had always been great-aunt Martha's favourite, but Eliza knew very little about them. She'd asked around and gathered some key information with regards to where to plant it to ensure it got enough sun, and she'd heeded everyone's advice to water it in. But now, as she stood in the garden alone, she found herself second-guessing everything. How much water was too much water? Exactly how deep should this hole be, really? And did this really count as partial sun, or was...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?